Do you struggle with choosing the right colors for your card designs? I'm Rick Adkins, and I'm going to show you how to pick those color combinations today. All right, we're going to need an alcohol-friendly ink. I've got a card base. We're going to use the House-Mouse stamp Candy Hearts. I've got my paper pad here, which is going to be key. I've picked out 2 sets of dies. We'll see what we're going to use. I've got my Spectrum Triblend markers. We're going to go through our paper pad. That's what we're going to use to pick the right color combos. So I'm going to go through the pad and find combinations or patterns that I like for my background. You want to pick something that's got enough color. The pattern's not going to be too big, too small. For your card, I liked these 2 patterns, and I think I'm going to go... I like the colors in these. I'm going to go with the plaid pattern because it has more colors, and I think it'll pair nicely with my card design. So I'm going to cut this down to an A2 size card front. I'm cutting it down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm going to stamp my House-Mouse image from Spellbinders and House-Mouse Designs. So we're going to use our pitch black ink for that. I'm going to make sure I got it lined up. And I'm going to use the pitch black from Pink First Studio because it's alcohol marker friendly. So we're going to stamp that down on our, I'm using a Hoo-Hoo cardstock today because I wanted to test it out. I will give you a review on that and a couple videos from now because I want to test it for a while and see how it works. But you do want to dry that ink because you never know how your alcohol marker inks are going to go. You want to get it nice and dry. All right, so I've put my designer cruise paper or pattern paper over to the side so I can see the colors. And I've picked out markers that are similar to those colors. That way, I know the color combo is going to be cohesive. So I've started off by using my Triblend markers, brush tips, and I've got the light yellow blend, and I'm going to do my darkest color, and then my light medium, and then my lightest. And I've started out by coloring around the little letters on the confection heart, but then I decided just color over them, and you'll see that later. So I'm just randomly picking out a couple of the hearts to color in that color. That's another thing with your color combos. You want to make sure you have them equally spread out across your card and project. So you're going to use them consistently through the card. So I've put them in 4 different places, the yellow, and I'm just using that same color combo and blending out. And I will repeat that with all of the confection hearts in the pitch image. That way everything is nice and cohesive with our color combination. By using your pattern paper, it really helps to, one, you know they're going to work together because the company's already done the work for you. So it allows you to pick those colors with confidence and put them on your projects. You can use the light and the darker shades like I have here. I like that pink in that paper is a lot brighter. I'm going to pull that in, but I've also wanted to tone it down a little bit because I knew I was going to use a lighter color on the mouse. So I'm using my light pink for that. And some of that paper had in it some of the light pink, so that's why I picked it. I knew it would go well. That pale pink shade. This is the bright pink, which is going to match our paper perfectly. And I'm just going to put some of those hearts in there. Just a few. And I'm mapping out those colors. So I'm going in with my lightest color, and I've mapped up all the colors I'm going to use. Now I'm going to come back in put in my darks and my shadows. And you're going to really see how this paper, those color combos matches that paper really well. If you're first stamping an image, I always suggest color mapping. I've talked about that in a previous video. And now I talked about tip to tip. Well, like with the Triblends, on the medium and the dark shade, it's hard to get that tip to tip. So if you can scribble off your dark marker onto an acrylic block or something that you can pick up color from and do that same technique just with the block. So I'm scribbling that off here. I'm going to put a piece of white paper under there so you can see I picked it up with my medium shade. And I'm just going to let that color blend out. This is actually, I'm coloring the darkest shade. Putting in the darks first. Then I'm going to pick up the medium. Use the medium shade and pick up my dark. And that gives me a secondary color that I can use to get a better blend. It's the same thing as tip to tip. I'm just using the block instead. All right, we're going to do our red little heart at the top. I wanted it to stand out a little more. That's why I picked a bolder color up at the top. And if you noticed, throughout the hearts, there are more red hearts throughout there. So again, I have kept that color going throughout the card. Now I'm going to color in his skin. I'm using the fair skin tone for that. I also have the darker fair skin tone throughout those little hearts down there, so it ties in. We're going to color his little belly. I just adore Mud Pie. I think he's the cutest little thing. I've always adored House-Mouse stamps. There was some of the first stamps I actually bought when I got into card making. So when Spellbinders started bringing House-Mouse back, I had to get some. So these are the first ones I bought from Spellbinders. I got it in the other day and couldn't wait to use it. And it was hard to pick from the 4 because I did buy the 4. And I need to go back and buy some of the other collections that they have brought out because I think they're the cutest little things. I don't know why. And some of y'all I know don't like critter stamps, but I think these are just adorable and I love them. So anyway, back to the card. So I'm sitting here and I've put in my light tone. I've put in my darkest tone. The hands, you just kind of put in where you can. And underneath the foot here, I'm going to put in where the artist drew the lines. I'm going to have shadows there and the shadow on his little feet. So I'm going to blend that out. And then I'm going to come back with the pink. You know, I mentioned the pink earlier. I'm going to come back and I'm going to add pink to his cheeks and pink to his feet also. So they're got a little color to them. Or not color really. Just they look like they have, they're alive. They got some blood flow to them. There I'm putting in the pink. It just livens the color up a little bit. So, excuse me, let's do his little tail. But by using your pattern paper for your color combos, it's so easy, y'all. It makes it's a simple step for that perfect color combination because the company has already done all the work for you. And you just have to go in and find those colors, and it's easy to match your colors up. Now, if you notice my mouse, there's none of those colors in that paper. I'm actually using the colored image on the stamp set to get his coloring. So he is like a golden brown. So I'm coloring him, or muted brown is what I'm using. So I've put in my lightest color first. I'm coming in with my darkest color in the shadow areas. And I'm not going to color the entire thing. I'm going to actually flick color around in his body because they're in a fur. There's going to be different shades everywhere. So I'm going to flick in different tones, the light, medium, and the dark throughout his skin. Besides in the parts where I know, like where his little leg's going to be next to his body, where his arm, you saw that on his arm where I added a little divot under his arm. That's going to make it look more realistic. So there I'm putting in that medium tone, and I will come back and add some more of the lighter tone, just flick it in color. I do blend out those areas that I put the shadow in a little bit to draw interest to it. But it's going to help Mud Pie look a little bit more realistic by doing this. So I'm going to come back. I'm adding that lighter color in there. And I'm going to brighten up his belly just a little bit. I wanted a little bit darker, a little bit more flesh color on his little belly button sticking out. I think he's adorable. All right, now to ground the image, I'm going to come in with a gray. This is the ice gray blend, and I'm going to put that underneath the heart. This is going to be my shadow color. And we're going to come back to that whole block technique. So I'm putting in my dark because those underneath is going to be super dark because it's laying on top of the table or whatever he's laying on. And then I'm going to blend this out. This is where I realized this marker needs a little bit more of a transition with some of the color because it's a little bit too big of a jump. So I'm going to pull in my block. We're going to put in the darks under this side. And I work section by section on this so that it helps to give an easy transitional color. So here's my block. I'm putting in that medium tone and I'm picking up the lightest. This is where the big jump was between that medium and the light. And you can see the difference when I pick that color up and how it just naturally blends out and creates a nice softer shadow. It's the same thing as tip to tip. It's just using the block instead. So we're going to do that over on this side. And then I'm going to color the background of the card. And I'm going to keep it nice and cohesive with our color combo that we have picked from our pattern paper. Drop me a comment in the description box below what you think of the color combo. Do you struggle with color combos or do you find it easy? Drop the word color combo if you find it easy. All right, so we're going to add that light pink, and this is where I'm started out with my Triblend marker, but I'm going to pull in my classic marker because it has the broad tip or chisel tip, and it's going to be easier to color that background. Don't be afraid. It's the same color line. I'm just going to pull in that other marker, and I will tell you that there is a color difference between the Triblend brush tip markers and the classic markers. It's slightly different. I'm going to put my dark in around the mouse and my little hearts. And that way I'm going to draw your eye and your attention to the mouse, because that is our focal image, is the mouse on the little pile of confection hearts. So I'm going to blend that out with the medium tone. And this is when, okay, so you see the color that's going down right now. When I pull in those classic markers, you're going to see a color difference, and it's the same color number, but it's just a little slightly different color, and that can happen sometimes in your markers. So don't worry about it. Just keep going, blend it over, and it will all blend smoothly. But when I get done with this, you will see you won't see any transitional color that like how this one. That is the pale pink, and it's the 5, 3, and 2. I believe is what's on the Triblend marker. But you can tell there's like a big jump between the 3 and the 5. This is where I'm pulling in the classic. This is the PB Pale Pink 5. And it looks pretty similar. It's a little bit brighter maybe, but very, very similar. Not too much of a difference there. I'm just using the fine tip to go around the edge. I found that a little bit easier than the Triblend. So do you have to have all of them? No, you could have whichever you prefer. If you like a fine tip, they do make a Triblend marker and a fine tip that which is good for card makers. Now I'm going to pull in that color, and I'm blending the color. This is the PB3, and I decided I wanted a little bit more of a transition, so I'm doing that block technique again to get my color combo nice and bright and the same. And this is, see how that smooths out, and it's a little bit different than our other color. I'm sure it's just something when they manufactured the color in the Triblend. It's just, or they changed the formula, because I had these when I first started coloring, so I'm sure the color is a little bit different than what the new color is. That happens sometimes with companies, but there's no biggie. We're just going to keep going. I'm going to fill in that area with the chisel tip, and it made it easier to fill in that background, so I could get more color down easily. And I'm just keep going over it until I get a nice smooth transition and I have no streaky lines. I have not coughed all morning until I came to do this voiceover, which is so typical. All right, so here we are. I'm going around. You can get around there easily by just flipping the chisel nib over to the point, and I'm going to just smooth that out with the broader section of it. And there we go. So now I'm going to come in and add some little detail to his nose. I decided to change it black. And I'm going to cut this out with my nested rectangle dies from scrapbook.com. I'm just checking to see if that was the size I wanted. And it's like at the third one in, I think. It's a little bit smaller than, if there's two bigger ones than that one. So I'm going to run that through my Big Shot after I get it lined back up. But you can see when I put this together what perfect color combinations I got from using that pattern paper as an example. So here's my color. I'm going to come in and add a little bit more details. I'm taking a pink Pallet fiber tip, just paper mate pen, and I'm going to ink over some of those letters. I'm just tracing them. So I'm filling them in with that. It was just had a nice fine tip and it was easy to do. And then you're going to see some of them white. I'm going to come in with a black Jelly Roll pen and add his nose, and I'm going to do his little eye. It just gives it a nice little pop. It makes it stand out a little bit more. And then I'm coming in with my Stardust glitter pen. Oh, I'm adding white highlights. I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Now here's the glitter pen. I'm coming in and adding over those letters that I did white. I didn't like them, so I thought they needed a little sparkle. So I'm just taking that Stardust glitter pen and just tracing right over the words on those confection hearts. Is that what they're called? Confectioner hearts? I know it's confection something hearts. I don't know. I know I used to hate them as a kid, but now I kind of like them. All right, we're going to take a white gel pen and do a stitch line around our rectangle to make it look like a stitching and add a little bit more detail to our card. And we're going to tie in the white of our highlights a little bit more. So we're just going to go through and go all the way around. And it doesn't have to be perfect. This one's a Uniball Signo pen. I only have one that actually works right. I'm very surprised. Normally, I can't get a Signo to work very well. That's why I use the Jelly Roll most of the time. But we're going to add that around the entire card. That's just going to draw interest to our card and help it stand out a little bit. Now, we're going to take and add this to our designer series, our pattern paper, our plaid paper, and you're going to see how those colors go together really nicely. Isn't that just pretty? And it was so easy to find that color combination by using the pattern paper. So now we're just going to take and put this on our card base. It's going to fit across the entire card. I cut that pattern paper to be the total size of the card front. And so I'm going to add that on there. And then I'm going to come in and add just a little bit more detail. I'm going to add my sentiment. So I'm going to tape my card shut, just so it doesn't pop open. That card, I'm using the Accent opaque white, 120 pound, and it's a little heavy, so sometimes it likes to pop open. So I'm going to stamp that down in that same black ink so that we have that whole, I love a black sentiment. I don't know why. So there's that. Now I'm going to pull in some more color from our pattern, and I'm using my embellishments from Paper Crafter stamps. Pajama Crafter stamps. Gosh, I'm on the design team. Don't tell nobody I said the name wrong. But I picked out some of the embellishments, jewels that were the same color and close, and they were very close. Like I had the pink. I have it listed below. So I've just arranged them where I wanted them, and I'm going to come in with a little Barely Art glue and pop those into place on my card. So I've used a yellow one, 2 blues, and 2 different shades of pink to tie in our color combo. See See, color, and once you get to the colors down, you can do this. Now, if you don't have those, you can easily color white ones with your alcohol markers, so you can make them any color you want, the white jewels. Now I'm going to take that leftover piece of pattern paper, and I'm going to cut it down to 5 1/4 by, I think it's probably about 3 3/4. And I'm going to attach that to the inside of the card to add more interest to the inside and to tie it all together. So we're just going to take that little 3/4 inch by 5 1/4 inch piece and attach it with some barrier art glue on the inside. And just put it down at the bottom. And it ties my card together, makes it really cute. We'll take the little tweezers and hold it and line that up. I can't line anything up without tweezers anymore. I don't know what the problem is. All right, so there is my card for today. If you like this video, you're probably going to like the video that will be coming up right here. And here is a look at the card, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys. Love you.